President Trump did a rally in Missouri over the weekend, and you're about to watch part of his speech here. This really got under my skin. Pay attention and think of what the implication is here of what he's saying. Okay, so read between the lines a little bit. It honestly doesn't require that much imagination because it is pretty straightforward what his implication is here. If he's not outright just saying it, let's watch.
After years of rebuilding other nations, get a little tired of that, right? We are finally rebuilding our nation, and we are doing it with American grit and skill and pride. America is winning again, winning like never before, and America is being respected again because we are finally putting America first.
Okay, now, some people, when they hear that line, the America First line, their first thought is they go directly to the KKK. Because apparently the KKK, there was a time in their history where they used that slogan, I guess. They would say, oh, America first. And so they used that to try to link it like, okay, this is exactly what the modern Republicans are like. This is their philosophy. But honestly, I don't think that's fair. I mean, I think it's fair that you can bring up the fact that that was historically a slogan of the KKK. That's totally fine. But to try to then imply that, like, okay, then everybody who used the term America First has that same ideology, I just don't think that's true. So I think that's a bit of a stretch. But when he says something like, oh, we're winning now, we're putting the USA first, that's actually not correct. So that's why we're talking about this, is he said multiple things there that are just not true. So when he says, oh, we're putting the USA first, what's the implication? Oh, we're not doing nation building overseas. We're rebuilding our own country. We're not outsourcing our jobs. We're keeping our jobs here. That's what that means when he says, oh, America first. But that's not true. We've outsourced 93,000 jobs under your first year as president. That's more than even Obama. And Obama had a pretty bad outsourcing record. We are still rebuilding other nations. And that brings me to the next point. He said at the beginning, he says it outright here, after years of rebuilding other nations, we're now rebuilding our own. There's two embedded lies there. After years of rebuilding other nations, we're now building our own. So what that means is we're no longer doing nation building overseas. That's not true. Yes, we are. We're bombing 8 different countries right now. We have a fucking shadow war in Africa. We have 900 military bases around the world that cost $100 billion a year to maintain. And you just got a record military budget that's the highest it's been since the height of the Iraq War. And then when you say we're rebuilding our own nation, that implies what? That you did an infrastructure deal and you're implementing it. That's not true. That's not true. So you came up with an infrastructure bill, and that infrastructure bill was a piece of shit because what it did is it privatized our infrastructure and handed over vast swaths of it to Goldman Sachs. So your infrastructure bill sucked in the first place because it wasn't done properly. It was just a privatization scheme and scam. But that didn't even pass, and you're not even fucking working on it now. You proposed it, and then 2.5 minutes later, you said, all right, I'm done here. Let's move along. Let's try to repeal Obamacare. So it's not true that we're rebuilding our own nation. Outsourced 93,000 jobs. We didn't do an infrastructure deal. So that didn't happen, so you're lying. And then again, for you to say, oh, after years of rebuilding other nations, and we're tired of that now, we stopped doing that. No, you didn't. We still are bombing 8 different countries. For those of you who don't know, Donald Trump escalated in Iraq. He escalated in Afghanistan. Trump used to tweet all the time about how, oh, it's so stupid, we're in Afghanistan, what are we doing? We're wasting time, we're wasting money, we're wasting our lives, they'll hate us anyway, it's not going to get anything accomplished, it's so dumb, we need to get out of there, we need to get out of there, we need to get out of there. Now what? He increased troop levels, and we're staying there. You know where else we are? Syria. There's an article from about 2 months ago that said, oh, we're doing permanent occupation there now, we're not leaving. So, guys, he's a fucking shameless liar. Can you imagine having that be your record? Of actually increasing drone strikes, increasing military interventions, increasing occupations the world over, doing all that, and then having the nerve to say, oh, after years of rebuilding other nations, we're kind of tired of that. We're not doing that anymore, and we're rebuilding our own country. None of that is true. You are still rebuilding other nations, and you're not rebuilding the U.S. Ask the people of Flint, Michigan how their water's doing. You know, our infrastructure gets a grade of D+, according to the Society of Civil Engineers. They do a report on this every few years. A D+. Our infrastructure is abysmally bad. Trump hasn't done dick to fix that. Nothing. So this gets under my skin because it's lines like this that I think, lines like that actually boost him up because it makes, oh, okay, at least he's focused on the right things. Like, oh, stop all the stupid wars and rebuild our own country. But that's not true, and I'm here to call that out, and it's annoying that the rest of the media does not do that. Like, here's a time with Jake Tapper with all of his smug-ass incorrect fact checks where he tries to pretend like Medicare for All it would not save money when, of course, it would save money, even according to right-wing studies. Instead of doing those fact checks, which is fucking handicapping the left for no goddamn reason and lying in the process, why are you not fact-checking this? Fact-check the fake populist and the fake non-interventionist who's pretending like he agrees with the American people when he doesn't, and his administration is doing the opposite. It's a shame, and it's so dumb. The media is to blame. The Republican Party is to blame. Donald Trump is to blame because he's a fucking liar. But this is the reality of the situation, and I'm here to tell you it because nobody else is telling you it.